Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you didn't know, I'm a diagnosed narcissist, but before I say the things I'm going to say in this video, keep in mind that I am not a licensed professional. So, with that out of the way, I love especially that I'm saying I'm not a licensed professional because I know a lot of people watching this video are probably going to be even more up in arms that I'm talking about MBTI, the quote unquote pseudoscience and whatnot. Well, guess what? I don't give a shit. You clicked on this video, that's what you're going to get then. You're going to have me talking about MBTI and I guess my thoughts about my narcissistic condition as in which I experience that. Yep, as a non licensed professional. So, anyway, I'm identified as an INTP as far as I've gotten into typology. A lot of people have made me try to doubt what my actual type is, but I am fairly confident that I am an INTP. So it got me thinking, how exactly does being an INTP cross towards having a narcissistic personality disorder? I can see how this is going to be a bit of a controversial video because no, I am not saying that all INTPs are narcissists. INTPs, like any other personality type or any other group of people, whatever, have their own shades of gray and whatnot. I've also been talking to my friends recently about synchronicity and whatnot. So yes, I am fully aware of all these things before you want to go like up in arms and my fucking comments about yeah, whatever. This is not the video for you, then fucking go away. But anyway, so basically, there are four functions that make up an INTP. I've pretty much already spoken more extensively on the personality type if you go to like one of my older videos, but this time I'm going to go point by point with each cognitive function. I'm going to explain how I think that relates to me as a narcissist. I think this is a fairly interesting video to make because I've thought a lot of things about mental illness and personality type and how that might, present. And honestly, I still welcome any of the engagement talking about how, okay, can you not properly type somebody if they have, you know, a mental disorder using typology or like whatever, but this is just my understanding. So, anyway, I'm going to start off. As an INTP, my first cognitive function is introverted thinking. And it makes me a fairly stubborn person in contrast to like inferior FE. I think when I look through my development, nature, nurture, whatever you want to call it, I've always had to figure things out for myself because as a narcissist, like plenty of narcissists, I've been neglected a lot through my childhood and whatnot. So the world has always been something that I've needed to figure out, which raises an interesting discussion, I guess, about like maybe are people introverts from trauma, perhaps, or does it contribute? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. You have your take on that. So, the thing about introverted thinking that I think makes me fairly good at arguing is I am the most pedantic, semantical motherfucker that you will ever meet. When we're arguing about something, I will not hesitate to scrutinize the little of what you have to say if it, even slightly, changes what you may or may not be saying because for all I know, you might just be stupid as fuck. So, for example, I can be pretty pedantic in the sense of maybe like if you say something, I've said this in one of my older videos talking about like being an INTP. Like you can say something is identical to something versus saying that something is alike something or similar to something, but it doesn't mean that they're actually the same. So arguing with me could be pretty annoying because I do not like filling in the blanks, bro, which I feel like is going to be super ironic when it comes to the next cognitive function that I'm going to talk about, which is any, but like focusing on like TI, it has to make sense from start to finish. And because I'm a narcissist, I do have perfectionist tendencies, at least when it comes to intellectual stuff, at least when it comes to like thinking, logic, or whatever, and like all that kind of stuff. I'm obviously not the most out there person because I don't really give a shit to engage in this like stupid fucking world. I always give it like, like the bare minimum and whatnot. And every day trying to survive is a fucking living nightmare because the world is stupid, everybody is stupid, everyone's dumb, everything is dumb. So basically, I'll just go ahead and connect that to the other cognitive function, which is basically extroverted intuition. So I think the reason having NE can make me a pretty annoying person, and it makes a lot of high NE people typically annoying in general, is okay. I've noticed this fairly in NTPs, and I know people will say that Socrates is an ENTP, and I know I'm an INTP, but because there's that like, sister type similarity between INTPs and ENTPs, I can actually relate to using the Socratic method a lot because the thing that I love about having it can be super fucking annoying sometimes. I literally hate having like ADHD, and sometimes I would just wish all the thoughts in my head, like, like fucking stop. Is I am pretty good at instilling doubt in a lot of people. NTPs in general are pretty good at like instilling doubt in a lot of people. So it's easy for me to feel superior whenever I notice that some people just have this like shallow sense of thinking where it's like, have you considered this? Have you considered that? When people say things to me like, oh, that's a stupid question, or like, why would I even have to like entertain that? I think that's just their shield to not have to like consider other things because they don't want to be put in the gotcha that I can easily and obviously put a lot of people in a gotcha because my NE makes me see things that other people typically just do not see on the surface because, as I would think as a narcissist, they're just dumb and pretty fucking stupid. So, okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is introverted sensing, which is basically a function that really much values homeostasis and familiarity, and because it's in the third slot, it's typically associated with a lot of nostalgia. So even INFPs can relate to this as well because they have SI in their third function as we INTPs do. So basically, I think a lot of stubbornness that I can have as a narcissist or even just as an INTP comes from there's something called like a TISI loop. I am pretty good at rationalizing all the things that I've gone through because here's the thing, if I consider a lot of possibilities and I'm narrowing down on something that I can even hypothetically get in a TISI loop, you best believe that I've thought of every single thing that you could possibly already think of. So I'm stubborn as fuck for a good reason because I'm not going to conform to anybody's, stupidity. My experiences, I legitimately think, are like way more valuable than yours, or they make more sense than yours. I actually fucking hate the word valuable because nothing fucking matters. Like, there is no value in this world because everything is dumb and just hella fucking stupid. But basically, SI, which I think is the function that actually in the real world holds back a lot of um, INFPs and INTPs because I can easily fall into just doing the same things that like, I typically enjoy. What if I live my life? If we live our lives and we just want to do the things that like we enjoy, why wouldn't I stick to the same things that I enjoy? Listening to the same music, watching the same TV shows, drinking all the time, fucking, whatever, like all that kind of stuff. It's the only joy, actual true joys in life when you get the familiarity of something good and something, decent. Because everything else is typically just a bunch of fuck shit. So my issue with like SE personally, I don't actually like new experiences. It takes me a while to, I guess, like, well, I don't know, maybe that's not true. I do like considering a lot of things, but like I just know that the real world is so fucking boring. So when you do hedonistic things like drink or maybe even just, do the creature comforts, listening to the same music, watching the same shows, watching the same movies like all the time. Then it's like that's as best as the real world is actually gonna get because everything is so fucking dumb and stupid. So last of all, basically, I'm gonna talk about like extroverted feeling, which I really, really, really fucking hate because I don't know. When I see people that are naturally good with like FE, they go about the world talking as if like, oh, everybody can get along with that's stupid. We all have sides and tribes, whatever you want to call it, so to speak, and there's no such thing like in my eyes as actually like getting along with like other people. From like my high TI point of view, there are people that make sense or there are people that are just like fucking stupid, so why should we actually accommodate them? I don't think everybody's feelings are valid, honestly, and I think this is where a lot of basically the dismissing that I might engage in as a pretty like narcissistic person. And I think like I've said it before, I actually hate the notion that people always think like, oh my gosh, well maybe this is true for some INTPs, but it's definitely not true for me. Oh my gosh, you automatically have social anxiety because oh my gosh, you're kind of like scared of like how other people are perceiving you. I'm not scared typically of how other people are gonna perceive me because that's like the last thing that I would think of. Like your status, your power, your like it doesn't matter if like my TI framework just makes more sense than yours, which let's be honest, usually it will always make sense more than, somebody else because like I think about shit. I don't have to rely on like what other people say. I don't have to like look towards some sort of like outside source. I think for myself using introverted thinking and I analyze and I piece everything together to like make it make sense for me. And if it makes sense for me, it literally just makes sense. And if you disagree, then I think literally, yeah, you're just fucking stupid. Because usually when it comes to having to accommodate other people as an INTP, I typically have to like, use a bit more of my FE to basically care about like what other people have to say. But that's just so dumb. Like, because again, one thing that I'm quick to point out is like an appeal to majority fallacy. That's typically my issue when when I think about like FE, honestly. Like from my point of view, it just looks like an appeal to like majority sort of like fallacy. Like, oh, we all just have to get along. Like, fuck that. Live in the real world. There are people that are on top of you and there are people that are below you. People have different standards and criterias for what's on top and what's at the bottom. So basically, we just project whatever we think, like needs to be done. Actually, maybe I'm pretty fucking stupid too. Everybody's fucking stupid and nothing pretty much will give contentment in this world because we're all just supposed to like, die and that's it. And basically we're just here, everybody's here just like fucking around with their fuckery and their stupidness, but I'm still going to tell myself that I'm better. And I feel like even if you don't want to admit it, call this projection or not, you think you're better even if you have the slightest audacity to project your ways. And yeah, as an INTP personally, and also as a narcissist, I think like that's typically just like the issues that I struggle with basically as like an INTP narcissist. Everything is on the basis of who's right and who's wrong. There is no middle ground. There is no like meeting in the middle. It's all power dynamics. And yeah, I have inferior FE because I always think that people getting along is low key just like, delusion. There's always somebody, like putting things in check. There's always the leader in any sort of like relationship or something. So yeah, I think I have low inferior FE as a narcissist, pretty much because I see the hierarchies of like everything and that never goes away and I choose to live in the real world and yes power will take over everything more than peace and love and all that stupid shit. But yeah, there you go. That's a quick attempt at putting cognitive functions as an INTP towards being, somebody with narcissistic personality disorder. So yeah,